Imagine your viewers have a save and load button for your game. You're mid-boss fight, someone types !load, and suddenly you're back 5 minutes. That's what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. It takes just a few minutes, requires no coding, and all you need is BizHawk, StreamerBot, and a can-do attitude. So let's get started. First, grab StreamerBot if you don't have it. I walk you through that in my first video, so check that link in the description if you need it. Next, we're going to need the BizHawk emulator. BizHawk is great because 1, it's multi-system and can run many different games, and 2, because it can run Lewis scripts, which means we can do some very fun things with it for special streams in the future. I actually made a BizHawk setup video especially for you, and you can also find that link in the description. Now that you have both StreamerBot and BizHawk ready, let's take a moment to decide what sort of game you'll be playing. For a system where viewers can save or load your game at any time, something like a platformer or a racing game will be very fun. I'm going to choose Castlevania for the NES. Drop your game file into whatever folder you keep your BizHawk games in. Now, this bit is optional. With the way the emulator is set up by default, it won't register any of your chat commands if it's not the active window. So if you want the game to save or load while you're clicked out of it, we have to set it to run in the background, which is as simple as launching the emulator, going up to Config, down to Customize, and checking the Accept Background Input option. Now the emulator will always accept input whether you're clicked into it or not. With that out of the way, let's pop over to StreamerBot, where all the magic happens. The way we're going to set this system up is by using StreamerBot to trigger BizHawk's save state and load state hotkeys, so that whenever a viewer types !save or !load, the emulator will save or load your game. This gives your chat near complete control over your progression, which might be maddening. Go to your Actions page and right-click in the left-hand panel to add a new action. Call it Save and click OK. In the top right panel, we'll add the command that triggers the save by searching for command triggered and creating a new command. We'll call this command save as well. And in the command box, add !save and click OK. In the sub-actions area, search for the keyboard press action. For the key, we'll select F1, and, this is important, make sure the shift modifier toggle is on. Shift plus F1 is the hotkey combo that BizHawk uses to save your game to slot 1. If you did F2, it would save to slot 2, F3 to slot 3, etc. However, if you don't enable the shift toggle, it actually loads the games instead, because the F1 keys by themselves are the ones that BizHawk uses to load states. Alright, press OK to close this action. And now, when anyone in chat enters the command !save, it will save your game in BizHawk. But we can improve this by letting everyone in chat know what happened when it happens. In sub-actions, let's search for the Twitch send message to channel sub-action, and here I'll simply say %user percentage has saved the game, and click OK. Now when anyone saves your game, everyone in chat will see that message and know who saved it. And that's all the save logic set up. Before we move on, go ahead and test this in BizHawk to make sure it's working. And beautiful. Up next, the load command is nearly identical, and we can make it extra easy by duplicating all of our work. In the left-hand Actions panel, right-click your save action and select Duplicate. Then double-click the copy to rename it to Load. Next, we'll update the command triggered trigger by double-clicking it, selecting Create New Command, calling it Load, and using !load as the command. Finally, in sub-actions, we'll change the Twitch message to say that the user has loaded the game. And in the keyboard press action, we'll just uncheck the shift modifier toggle. And that's that. Now any viewer can save or load your game while you play with a simple chat command. If you want, you can go ahead and use this in a stream right this second. Of course, you might not make it very far if anyone can load your game anytime they wish, so sit back down and let's improve this by adding a cooldown to the command so chat can't just spam it every second. On the far left-hand side, click Command, just above Platforms. Now find your load command from the list and double-click it to see all the same options we had when we first created it. At the bottom left of this window, you should see a tab just under Group called Cooldowns. Click that and you can set either a global cooldown or a user cooldown, or even both if you want. A global cooldown means that nobody in chat can use it until the timer is finished, while a user cooldown means that the person who triggered it can't use it again until their personal timer is finished, but anyone else can still trigger it. The one you go with will depend on what sort of stream you want, with a user cooldown being the more potentially chaotic option. In this example, I'm going to set a global cooldown to 1 minute, or 60 seconds, and click OK. And that solves our spam problem. When anyone triggers the load command, it starts a 1-minute timer and it won't work again until that timer is up. Now the only issue is that when someone triggers the load command before the cooldown is finished, nothing will happen, and that would be confusing if they don't understand why. Let's fix that by showing them how much time is left in the cooldown by using if-else statements. If you've never used if-else logic before, don't worry, take my hand, and just follow exactly what I'm going to show you. First, head back to your actions page and select your load action again. In the triggers area, we'll add a new trigger called command cooldown, and select the load command from the dropdown. This trigger gives us access to the remaining cooldown time, so instead of the command silently failing, we can tell chat exactly what's happening. To do that, head back down to your sub-actions and search for an if-else action. Think of an if-else statement as a fork in the decision road. Simply put, if what we fill in here is true, we do one thing, but if it's false, we do something else. In this case, we're checking that the cooldown is over. So for the input, we'll type percentage global cooldown left percentage. This value comes from the command cooldown trigger and equates to how many seconds remain before the command can be used again. For the operation dropdown, we'll choose greater than, and for the value, we'll enter 0 and click OK. Now, when someone triggers the load command, this will check the remaining cooldown time to see if it's greater than 0. If it's not greater than 0, we know the cooldown is over and the if-else statement returns false, and anything we put in the false result will trigger. So go ahead and drag both your user has loaded the game message and your keyboard press action into the false dropdown of the if-else statement. Of course, when the if-else statement sees that the cooldown time is greater than 0, we don't want to load our game. In this case, we'll send a message to chat with the time left before anyone can use the command again. So add a new Twitch message sub-action and type there are percentage global cooldown left percentage seconds left before anyone can use the command again. Drag this message into the true result of the if-else statement, and now chat can still load the game, but only once per minute, and they'll know exactly why it doesn't work if the cooldown isn't over. And there you have it. Chat will now be able to save and load your game during your next stream. In the future, I'll show you how to expand on this idea by adding randomness. For example, maybe we create a command that will either save or load the game, but nobody knows which it's going to do until it happens. If that interests you, subscribe now and I'll catch you soon. Have fun streaming. Think of an if-else action as a fork in the decision road. Think of an if-else.